Okay, we'll try again this morning.
Okay, Rabbi.
And my wife. So we're multiplying brothers like crazy.
I'm not sure if we're multiplying.
Well, we're getting up to 8.
That's true.
So we started and we're up to 8. That's called the multiplication table. That was 3rd grade.
You know what's interesting though is that the Gemara doesn't. The assumption there is that they're all from the same father.
Well, they
all have to be from the
otherwise
same
they're not
father.
brothers.
And so therefore
No, otherwise they're not brothers.
what I'm going to say, and therefore the implication clearly again comes back to the issue of multiple wives.
Or a busy couple. My kids have 9 and he only has 1 wife. But
You know.
the observation that I had with Ruben yesterday, the reason that they're so concerned with all these cases is because people died in their 30s all the time. In other words, in our world, you have to hunt around to find somebody. Oh, do you know about a case of Felicia?
You know if there's
But in that world, it happened all the time.
there's a separate Gemara. I figured out if you don't, I'm gonna get you.
Are you keeping up, Herman?
Yeah. I think you want the regular Gemara. Yeah. Okay. Does that look good? Yeah. All right. Okay, no problem. Zev, you okay? Yes, thank you.
I have to leave a little early. It's not a personal observation. I just got to get my car to trip north.
Mhm. Okay.
I can prove it. Here's the discount for that. Oil.
All right, I'm going to start us on our sponsors and then we'll pick up what we can for today's Gemara. Rashi had told us that he had something this morning and therefore he wouldn't be. Right? He mentioned it to you, right, Michael?
Yes,
When he was with.
And I'm leaving early.
Okay. Learning sponsors a year.
I know, but I have to change.
Sue and Anya Garlic in memory of Malcolm Froman and Philip Mann. And Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shenya Rivka Pro-Razna bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, in memory of family murdered in the Holocaust. Harav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Leslie and Gail Kaplan in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Sedell Irving and Pearl Kaplan. Children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Sarah Tova bat Yisrael Dov in her memory, Charlie Galfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata bat Asher. Friends of Nina Moynester, Nechama Azna bat Yitzchak Ahalo. Many friends of Stephen Vigdor, Bezecher Nishmat Simcha Melech ben Meir Lev Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. Okay, today is the 4th, right? And so we don't have any days of learning marked for today. So that's Neshamas have an aliyah, cranker, about the Neshamas Leah, Koban Israel, good Gabenshia.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Yesterday we had a rather complicated scenario, and we focused on the issue. I don't know if I could say focused, but we certainly discussed the issue of what was chalitza ma'alya versus chalitza pesula. Okay, and remember, I suggested to you, based on the definition that the Vishinantam commentary gave, was that it was primarily a chalitza pesula, an inferior chalitza, was such because of the fact that there was no option in that situation of doing evil. Okay, and that therefore, since the only quote choice in that situation was chalitza, that's why it was calling it an inferior chalitza. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. Okay, all right.
The
Okay.
better reason to say psula is because it's not pater soros.
Okay, that would be another definition.
It's limited in this
Yeah,
sense that it
right.
doesn't cover the soros.
Right, that would be another good definition. Okay. Interesting that I didn't see anybody make that. While the Gemara refers to it, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, the Gemara refers to it. Nobody in the commentaries use that as a definition. Okay, okay. In other words, are limited, maybe limited chalitza, and that it applied only to the particular woman, right? Exactly, versus that woman plus co-wives, right? Okay, so that's the case. But we saw that in that situation, as we now are going to momentarily start the new Gemara, that we were only dealing with 3-4 brothers. Okay, we're going to multiply that situation today. Okay, and I want to clarify one other item as we jump into today's Gemara. If we're going to talk about the inferior versus superior, or greater versus limited chalitza yesterday, we now have to look at another kind of situation today, where we're talking about the possibility of a gezerah. Okay, might one brother, okay, let's for the moment suggest a situation where there are 2 brothers, okay, and normally we have seen that the order of what do you want to call it, responsibility, okay, is based on age. Okay, so if that's the case, and you have these 3, or better still, I'll go with 3 brothers, maybe. Okay, and the order of responsibility is on, and the wife of the first oldest brother, he's died. Okay, and she is available. Okay, she's the Yavama. Okay, and in the moment, theoretically, that second brother should then take the responsibility, right? Step up, right? What happens if that third brother, however, excuse the expression, jump the gun? Supersedes. Okay, in that case.
That's fine.
Okay, normally would that be fine? Okay, but are there situations where that can be problematic? Okay, that's where I want us to keep in mind where we're headed. Bob.
Have you ever come up with a definition of superior chalitza, or just?
Okay, what we're just saying is that, okay, when according to one definition, Michael's raised a good point. He said maybe we should define superior as a chalitza that not only satisfies the direct zekuka, but also the co-wives.
Okay.
All right. Whereas the inferior or the limited only satisfies her. Okay, and I said that I thought that was a very good, another good example of a definition, as opposed to what we saw, which I don't say one is not right, one is, okay, where another commentary said it was a situation where only chalitza was available,
Well,
and
that's when it happened.
right, and not both yibum or chalitza. Okay.
They have to wait 3 months after the brother dies.
What?
Yes, 92 days. They have to wait 92 days. before you do. So we do.
But if somebody chops a rye in the town,
That could be a problem.
I think that doesn't.
That's another problem.
Because that might be the first guy's kid.
That's it. It means that he was.
Well, then you look to see he doesn't have red hair.
That's where the Gemara says iyain, all right? That you examine the situation, okay? All right. So I'm picking up actually, I just want to start from the very bottom of Kaf Zayin Amud Beis, okay? By the way, I was told that Rabbi Sugarman does something similar, okay? Right.
Everybody does.
Okay, Velema de Chalitz Leila Rishona Bereisha. So the Gemara says, hold on a second. Okay, maybe this other one is going to get to do it for earlier, first. So the Gemara said, Choltzot, okay, it used the plural language, Choltzot, and now we go over Lechatchila Katani. Okay, our text taught Choltzot initially, right? So what happens? So the Gemara now tries to, all right? Velema, so the Gemara says, Velema le gzera. Perhaps we should say that in regards to this, the brother, okay, who was quick on the trigger, so to speak.
This is with Yochanan talking.
Right, okay? Dilma kadim b'chalitz l'rishona bereisha, okay? Where it took me a long time, really, okay, that with one brother, the chalitza could have been to the second widow, all right? Okay, and the other,
To the first widow. Before the death. of-
okay, it's, all right, the issue is two widows.
But they're
And
some widows simultaneously.
Okay.
One at a time, please.
Okay, so you've got two widows, okay? And you got the question of which brother acts first, okay? And the concern is that
If they were both there at the same time back here, what if he was only on the seat 6 months later until he got there?
no, the issue is, the Gemara is raising this question of a gezerah, okay, when both brothers are present, okay? All right. And both brothers are present.
So
Okay.
you with the Rabbanim, they were ready to do Chalitza Hiva, why didn't they stop the situation?
Because why? Why didn't they stop? Who are they going to stop? That's the question. That's your question. So maybe that's the point of the gezerah, right? Okay, so if you're suggesting that there was a gezerah and you're concerned that a second brother is going to act inappropriately, okay, all right? In other words, that the other is not able to, the first one is not, in other words, which woman has the act done first appropriately?
If you do this, you can't do the second one.
Okay, that's what we're getting to. In other words, and the question is the chalitza for the second widow, okay, was that done first as opposed to the chalitza for the first widow or not? Okay, and so he's not able to do the first widow, but the But the Yibum did it, but he did chalitza with the second widow, and the other one did it with the first widow.
One of the brothers does chalitza with the earlier widow first.
Yeah,
The
that's
first
what you
widow
just said.
first.
Okay,
Then there's no problem with
that's not a
But if
problem.
you-
The question is if the second widow is done first,
That's no good.
that's the problem.
So
That's
they
what
make-
we're saying. That's what we're saying, okay? That normally you would do the first widow first, okay? But the question is what happens, okay, if the second widow was done first? That would be the problem, okay? Right, so therefore that's part of the issue. So the Gemara is saying, right? But the Yibum, then the second brother the other brother might think, well, if that was done, I can go ahead and do Yibum with the other one.
If the first brother, if one of the brothers, irrelevant which, one of the surviving brothers is miyavim with the first almana, who's a yavama, then min haTorah, the second brother can
Have
miyavim
Yibum.
the second widow. However,
That's the normal situation.
however,
In this case, it's not
the
that way.
second widow first, then that's because you cannot go back. So rather than allow the Hamonam to say sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, they make it gezerah that you give
Both of them
widows
chalitza. Right.
so that this confusion cannot
Right.
arise.
So now the concern is gezerah, that maybe the rabbis make a decree. Why? Dilma kadim v'chalitz l'rishona b'reisha. Okay, lest it be that one of the brothers jump ahead and they do chalitza, okay, with the first one ahead of time. Okay, so in other words, implying that the second, in other words, to do it in appropriate order, the first widow first, the second widow second, that's the correct order. Okay, but what happens if it wasn't followed in that pattern? Okay, if someone went ahead and did something with the second widow, okay, can you go back then and deal with the example of the first widow? That's a problem. Okay, so maybe that's what the gezerah is telling us, and it says clearly, "V'lo mityabmot," that you don't perform yibum. So you can't assume that under normal circumstances, if one brother did chalitza to the first, then the other brother could do either yibum or chalitza to the second, right? That would be a valid situation, okay? But this isn't normal process, okay? One of the brothers just went ahead and, okay? So what happens? And therefore, this gezerah tells us basically, no, we don't do yibum in either, regarding either of the two women, either of the widows. We must do chalitza in both cases. Okay?
That's the gezerah.
All right, that's the gezerah. And
That's what you say.
Right.
that Sid would be the way that the rabbis would try to put a controlling factor. Okay?
There are certain senses why the lady.
But the first one loses out.
In that case,
When they lose out,
She gets out because she's losing.
he doesn't lose out, he just does chalitza.
right, she does get chalitza.
Nobody
Okay.
loses out.
Right,
He
but-
just doesn't get a freebie way.
All right, in other words, clearly, because they said cholitzot, in other words, it implies both of those widows need to receive chalitza, and neither of them get yibum. Okay? All right?
Well, she loses out on her husband.
No, she goes and marries a Abramovich.
Somebody from the shuk, so to speak. Okay? Why? Velo mityabot katani. And it was not taught that they have yibum, right? Deleka din yibum hacha klal. That here, in this case, we do not have the application of the act, I'm saying, of Yibum whatsoever.
And now it doesn't matter which sister does.
Right. Okay. V'leimele. So now in trying to understand this, the Gemara is coming up with a number of possible ideas. How do you interpret this situation? Okay. Let us say to him, right? Or let him say to him. Okay, really it's in the discussion between, right? Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yosef. Gezerah. Okay. Maybe we're going to say it was a decree. Shema Yamut. That there were two brothers and one of them might die. Okay.
Now he has a
Right. And what happens then? Says the situation. Va'asur levatel mitzvat yibamim. The problem with that suggestion is then you're saying there's no yibum whatsoever. You're nullifying the whole requirement of yibum if you try to give that explanation. Rabbi Yochanan lamita lo chiyesh. Does that seem to imply that Rabbi Yochanan is not the suspect in situations of death? Okay. All right. So let's try another example. V'leimele Rabbi Elazar. So let's say perhaps that our text here, this concept, is based on the view of Rabbi Elazar. Why? Amar, who said, Kevan she'amda alav sha'a achat. If this particular woman, at one point in time, all right, be'isur, is forbidden to him, ne'esra alav olamit, she's forever forbidden to him. Okay? Gemara is going to throw out this explanation and tell us, Midasefer Rabbi Elazar, since the end of the discussion brings up Rabbi Elazar, okay, it would imply that just in the normal structure of a Mishnah, okay, that he must be the Baal Plugta to somebody else, to at least Tanakama, okay? So Tanakama can't be Rabbi Elazar, just logically. Reisha loved Rabbi Elazar. Since he was cited at the end, he can't be the person who presented the idea initially, okay? V'neimelaho d'nipol b'vat echat. So let's try the following. Let us say then that the two widows occurred at the same time, right? V'Rebbe Yossi Aglilihi. And then it's according to the view of Rebbe Yossi Aglili. Why? Da'amar of Charlotte Samson. That it's possible to be precise, to be exact. In other words, you can determine that they both died at the same.
One died first.
Okay, at the case.
Even if it was seconds apart, he says you could.
It's say you can still say it's the same time. Okay.
Soon, like we do with wills.
Okay. Lo satam lantana k'Rabbi Yossi Aglili. But since we had a stam statement at the outset of this point, it's never the Gemara. I'm sorry, the Mishnah never cites Rabbi Yossi Haglili within a stam context. It always cites him by name. Okay. And therefore, it could not be according to it. Okay. Okay. Yossi, right? V'leimele d'lo yad'inen hai nafal b'reisha. And let us say then we don't know who it is that fell first, right? Ihachi, hainu dekatani. If that's the case, that's why we then say kidmu v'kinsu yotziu. Is that why we say that if they rushed ahead and they married her, they're forced to divorce them? Okay, so the Gemara says bish lema rishona amrinim le. That's correct when we say in terms of the first widow, right? We say that. Why? Man shayela, because we could say to him, who permitted you to go ahead and marry her? Okay, there is an order here. First widow has to have her status ameliorated, then the second widow. Okay, if assuming that they did not die simultaneously, and we can't prove they did. Elishnia, but regarding the second situation, all right, what could that person say? He could argue as follows: Chavrai shnia ibam. Okay, the second, my friend, okay, my colleague, my brother, okay, he had yibum with the second. Ana rishonami abem. I was, when I had yibum, I did it with the first
We don't
widow.
know which is which, so maybe my kala
Was
is
the first
widow.
widow.
Was
Okay,
allowed to have yibum.
okay. Now, we're going to get into Hainu de Ka'amar, and this is what they said. Achayot eini yodea mis shan'an. This is why when he responded to that question, the terms of this particular Mishnah regarding the two sisters, I don't know who taught it. Okay, that's why he responded that way. Rabbi Yochanan.
We've exhausted
Possible explanation. Okay, we're now going to get to a new situation with a new Braita. Okay, and in this new Braita, if I understand my notes, okay, there were 4 brothers, and 2 of them married 2 sisters. Right? Okay, and one of those sisters has a daughter.
One's married to a woman, and one's married to the daughter. Or
All right.
one's married to
All right, we'll get to
a granddaughter.
okay. Tnan says our new Mishnah. Haita echat mehen asura al ha'echad isur erva. Okay, so among these brothers, okay, one of them, okay, has a situation where the potential yibama is an isur erva. The easiest example of the Gemara that the commentary suggests is that she's his mother-in-law. Okay,
They all say.
all right. How is that possible? We said as follows: there are 4 brothers. Okay, 2 of the brothers married 2 sisters. One sister has a daughter. That daughter then marries her uncle.
Third sister,
Okay,
right?
her uncle, who's the third in the series of the 4 brothers. Thank you. Okay, and what happens?
The mother-in-law becomes the widow.
Okay, the woman who was the mother of the daughter that the 3rd brother married, okay,
Becomes the widow.
she becomes, he's the 3rd brother, his old brother died, and okay,
But she brought the daughter into the marriage. She was previously married.
well, it could be.
So that, because if he has to die childless, her to become mama. In other words, Mrs. Smith has kids. She marries Mr. Abramowitz. Mr. Abramowitz dies. Now she is an almana who falls to
To the 3rd
In the
brother.
meantime, Yitzhak married her daughter from the previous marriage. So she's both his Yavama and
His
mother-in-law.
mother-in-law.
That's an erva.
That's an
erva.
Okay. Right, I was going to go
That
through
has
it
to
another
be
way.
that case.
Yeah,
There's no other
that's
possibility.
the case, all right? That she has to come from as a second wife to the 1st brother, okay? I'll go back over that. I saw something else though that didn't say that, okay?
Yeah, otherwise, she has children. And she's not a Yavama. Unless
Then it doesn't fulfill the function of fulfilling the name. If it's a female.
it doesn't matter. I have 100 daughters. You don't need them, or those only if you child.
That's Asur ba mutar ba achota. We say in that situation, she is forbidden and her sister is permitted. Okay? In other words, in that case, the woman who is the heir, his mother-in-law, he can't do ibum for her, but the other
Theoretically, he could.
is permissible. Vasheni asur b'sheihan. Okay, and the second is prohibited with both. Sakada'atcha, okay, it might have thought as follows. Dinafla chamoto tchila. Maybe it was that his, right? Chamoto, his mother-in-law, was the one that became the Yavama first. Okay? Va'amai, and why is that the case? Leku chatan liabem de'ena chamoto b'reish. Okay? So let us say here, in this case, that this gentleman, all right, that he should be able to then go ahead and perform Yibum, in this case, okay, to the situation that that it's not, were it not the fact that his mother, right? V'tahav chamoto legabe idach kiyabama shehutra v'nera v'chazra v'hutra. Okay, and then it would therefore be in a situation where maybe his mother-in-law, okay, to the other, regarding the other woman, the other Yabama, should that was permitted, and then forbade, and then returned to a status of being permitted. Okay, so in the situation where, okay, that mother-in-law, okay, if she had been the first widow, right, and she's now not in the scene, right, dies, okay, all right, what about that second widow? All right, there's no longer any limitation for him in that regard. She had been initially permitted to him, okay, then forbidden, then permitted, okay. All right, so what happens? Amar Rabbi Papa, says Rabbi Papa, Kigon de nafla hach de'ena chamoto b'reisha. In that case, is right, would be as if the second widow fell first, and that's to him as the Obama. Okay. Rabbi Elazar omits Beit Shammai v'chuli, regarding the example of Beit Shammai, who said the brothers, right, could go ahead. Tanya, we see as follows. Rabbi Elazar omer Beit Shammai omrim, that Beit Shammai says yikaimu, that they may maintain the continuous. Okay? Beit Hillel yotziu, and Beit Hillel disagrees and says no, they have to divorce them. Rabbi Shimon omer yikaimu. Rabbi Shimon says we can maintain them, continue with them. Abba Shaul omer kal. Okay, Abba Shaul omer says kal haya lehem Beit Hillel. It was an easy decision. And Rabbi Shimon, according to whom was Rabbi Shimon's view? Ika Beit Shammai. If his view is similar to the view of Beit Shammai, Hainu Rabbi Elazar. Then he has the same view as Rabbi Elazar. Ika Beit Hillel. If Rabbi Shimon's view is like Beit Hillel, Hainu Abba Shaul. Then it's exactly the same view as Abba Shaul. Hachikama. This is what that means to tell us. In other words, Rabbi Shimon is really putting forward a alternative, a third, if you will, view. Point, namely, Lo nichlaku Beit Shammai u Beit Hillel b'davar zeh, that they didn't argue on this situation. Okay, and they agreed in that case. All right. Let's go. Haita echat mehen v'chule, says the Mishnah. Hatane hivamta ocholetzet omit yabemet. Okay, we had a statement that said if it's her sister, okay, shehi yivamta, when she's also her other zikuka, other yivama, okay, the two sisters, right? What either gets chalitza or gets yibum, right? Sricha. And we need to say it here again. Why? The iyashma'in hatam. Because had we only said it in regards to that earlier example we had, okay, with the two sisters and married with three brothers, that example that we had previously, right? Namely, Mishum deleka lemigzar mishum sheni, because maybe we would not have any decree like we saw at the top of the Amud, right? Regarding a second brother or another brother, okay? One jumping ahead, okay? And doing something with the second widow ahead of time before the first widow. Aval hacha, but here in our case, the ikala migzar mishum sheni, where we have this decree, okay?
We could make it creed because there's two.
Okay, where we have a two yibamim available, okay, as opposed to just one, okay, and therefore have enact put this a gezerah into effect. Let's put it that way. In that situation, aim alone. I might have said no. I don't need it. If I've got two brothers and I've got two widows, I might have thought, let one do exactly, one do one and one do the other.
Why saying?
Right? And had I only had this example,
Where you have two brothers.
where I have clearly two brothers, maybe even a third, Mishum de'ika sheni, the kamucha, because here I might say, clearly I have proof because I have a second brother, okay, that therefore the gezerah is appropriate, okay, to limit him from acting too much in advance, right? Aval hatam, okay, but there in that case, my earlier case,
Where there's only one.
where I
brother.
only had one yavam available, okay, right? The leka sheni, where there is not a second yavam available, right? Emelo, I would say no, sricha. That's why I needed it to say in this case.
Right.
So my situations were different in the fact that if I had only one yavam versus two yavamim
The mission needs to
available,
clarify both
both
situations.
cases. All right? Okay, let's go on. Isur mitzvah. Okay, but when we say there are examples of the prohibition, or because of Isur Kedusha, Isur Mitzvah. Okay, that was the case. Nami Tanena. Here also we learned it as we go over now, right? To the next one. Why? Isur Mitzvah ve'Isur Kedusha choletzet v'lo mityabemet. We said in those cases, we already learned that if it was the prohibition of a let's call it not a lav karet or a lav erva, but a simple lav, okay, or the prohibition of another variety, all right, that we don't have a choice. It's simply chalitza, all right? So the Gemara says again, hatam isur mitzvah lechuda. Then we only had a single case, okay, where there was the prohibition regarding the mitzvah. Hacha isur mitzvah va'achota. Again, our family situation, if I can say that, is different. Okay, why? Because we have a situation of the woman and her sister. Salkadat, it's possible I might have thought, likum isur mitzvah b'makom sur'eva. I might have thought, well, maybe in this case, since I don't have an Isur Erva, where it's very clear what's permitted and what's not, maybe I operate simply on the issue of an Isur Mitzvah that only prohibits, say, the one woman and not the other woman when there are two women. Okay? V'titbayed. And then I could go ahead and do Yibum with that other woman. Okay? Kamash Malan comes to teach us that's not the case. Right? So the Gemara then says, "V'titbayim Kevan demidoraita, ramya kame, kapaga ba'achod zikukato. If you're going to suggest that you follow the Torah law, okay, which would allow for evil, and it's only the rabbinic, the rabbanan, that prohibits it, okay? Nevertheless, you confront the situation of the sister of his zikukah, and that is clearly the rabbanan, that's prohibited, okay? Salga da'atach amina. Okay, it's possible I might have thought here then, Mishum mitzvah avud rabbanan. That's simply because that was enacted by the rabbis, and Yibum is a doraita. That should supersede. Kamash Malan comes to tell us that that's not the case. Okay? All right, go on to another situation. Haita echat mehem b'chulei. Hatu lamali. Why do I need all this? Asks the Gemara. Hainu hach. Precisely, that's the case. Mali lechad, mali letrei. What difference is it if it's one? What difference is it if it's two? Okay. Do the number of yabamim really make a difference in this case? Tzricha. No, we do need it, says the Gemara. De'ish ashma'inin hatam. Again, had we learned it and only in that case, mishum de'ika sheni demucha. Why? Because in that case we saw the possibility of the second yabam gives us proof that we needed to clarify that situation as we did with the gezerah. Aval hacha. Okay, in this case, the lekasheni, the kamucha. Okay, since there is no second yabam, okay, isn't that enough of a proof? Right? Emalo, I would say no. Ve'iyashma'in in hacha. And if I were going to say in our case here, hadarabba, maybe it's the opposite. Travayu muchachei ha'adade. That the two of them could provide proof one for the other. In other words, one could say, I'll do yibum or chalitza with one, I'll do yibum or chalitza with the other. Okay? Aval idach, but in the other case, lo, that would not be such tzricha. Therefore, we needed it to clarify that situation as well. Zohi she'amru b'chum. So when it says this, is said as follows. Okay. Zohi lema'utemai. This comes to exclude who?
This case, not something else.
Right.
What is it not?
What does it exclude? Lemati lema'ute isur mitzvah lazeh ve'isur mitzvah lazeh. Where we could have a situation where it was a prohibition regarding a mitzvah for one yabam, and also a prohibition of isur mitzvah regarding another yabam. Right? Hatu lamali. Why do we need all this? Hainu hach. Indeed, this is the case. Mali lechad, mali letrei. What difference is it if it's one? What difference is it if it's two? Mahu detain. What is it that you want to say? Kilo amrinin. We don't say, okay, isur mitzvah, b'makom isur erva, that we establish the prohibition based on the mitzvah in place of the prohibition regarding erva. Heicha de'ika lemigzar mishum sheni. Okay, where we have a situation where we make this utilize, let's say, the decree in regarding a second yabam, aval hecha deleka lemigzar mishum sheni. But where it's a situation where we're not able to enact the decree regarding a second brother, a second yabam, ema, I might say as follows: Lahai okimna isur mitzvah b'makom isur erva. That maybe in that situation, I would replace, I'll use that word, the mitzvah, isur mitzvah, which is a lesser, remember,
The Shnius of the
right?
Yisod Rabbanan.
okay, a lesser than the Isur of the Erva. Ulahai, okimna Isur mitzvah, bimkom Isur Erva. And in this other case, I would establish again the Isur mitzvah in the place of Isur Erva. Liyabmo, in order to allow him to perform Yibum. Kamash Malan comes to tell us that's not the case. It's not done. Okay? So we can't replace, okay, the Isur of a mitzvah or Kedusha, which is a, so to speak, lesser prohibition
And then Erva.
than the Isur of Erva in either case, whether it's a single Yabam or multiple Yabamis. Okay. All right. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Okay, so we get now to a new situation. Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav. V'chein Tani Rabbi Chia. Likewise Rabbi Chia. Okay. Now the Gemara says, remember, or I'm reminding us to remember, we had that whole list, we had that whole list in the very first Mishnah, in the first parak, right? 15, or some said 16 different women, right? So it says, Bikulan, in all of them, okay, with regarding all of those which we said were primarily Isur Erva, all those, right? Ani korei bahen ha'isur lazeh muter lazeh va'achota kshehi yevamta o choletzet o mityabemet. In other words, in all those situations, he's going to argue, okay, that if I say that there's a sister with one of those Erva women, right, prohibited women, right, what happens? One is prohibited. Clearly, the one who is the Erva is prohibited, but the other one would be permitted. A sister would be permitted. Why? Okay, furthermore, va'achota k'shehi yavamta, and when it's her sister who is her, so to speak, I'm going to say co-yavama, okay, also, in that case, one can do either chalitza or yibum. Rav Yehuda matargem b'chamoto va'ela. Mother-in-law and further down, not the earlier, I think 6 others, right? Aval shita b'beidrisha, but the 6, okay, that come in the earlier part, okay, of the section, right? Low, that doesn't apply. My tama kevan de bito ba'onsin hu de mishkachadla. Why? Because we can say that we're talking about a situation where of rape, okay, forced, all right, however we want to translate it there, okay, that it's a situation where there's a daughter born through seduction, rape, force, whatever, right, found in this situation. B'nisuin lo mishkachadla. But in regards to marriage, we wouldn't find that in that
We
case.
would not have that situation because if she's married, it's not.
Right. Okay. So the Gemara says, "B'nisuin kemaire." All right. With marriage, we cannot deal with it. B'nisin lo kemaire. Okay. In other words, but those examples were talked about marriage situations. We didn't discuss, we didn't bring up and learn about the issue of any situation outside of marriage. Okay? Now, so that was a challenge to Rav Yehuda as a result of rape. Kevan de ishkuche mishkachadla, since it can be found in that situation.
That she's called his daughter.
Okay, all right, Ibaye, if necessary, ba'onsin, okay, tahave. Okay, if we say it's a situation of rape, it may be a bai benusin. If we say it's necessary to understand it in a situation of marriage, tahave, let it be. Aval eshet achiv sho haya ba'olamo lo. Okay, but in that scenario, would say if it's a situation of the Yavama being
falling to the brother that was
right,
not
following,
alive.
right, that the
when it
Yavam
happened.
is the one who wasn't alive in that situation with the coexistent with the husband of the Yavama.
Mama.
Okay, no, that wouldn't work. Why? Kevan aliba Rabbi Shimon who the mishkacha. Because only according to the Shita of Rabbi Shimon do we find that possibility. Okay? Aliba the Rabbanan, but according to the purview, so to speak, of the rabbis, lo mishkachat la, we would not find that. But plugta lo kamare. Why? Because in regards to an argument, we don't find
Our
that.
mission is not talking about
Situations
a case
dealing
with an
with those arguments. Okay, so again, trying to deal with cases where we could theoretically say we're all still trying to prove, is it possible to say, okay, as was earlier stated by Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav, okay, that
whether we're talking about a nusa or beta, I mean,
where are there family situations where one could create a scenario, okay, where you could argue, okay, that in one case a woman is prohibited, the sister would be permitted, particularly when the sister is the co-zukuka, co-yabama with the other, okay? All right, now we try another case, right? V'Rav Safra, Matargim af eshet achiv shelo haya ba'olamo. Okay, Rav Safra is suggesting we could explain it even in a case where we have one of the Yabamim, one of the brothers, not in existence with the deceased husband of the Yabama. Okay, how is that possible? Umishkachet la b'shita ache, and we can find that in here. Okay, if I was going to do the whole drawing again, we would need 6 brothers. Okay, and in total 6 brothers. Okay, and how would we get 6 brothers? In the following order. Okay, the simanach. Okay, and again it would have to be umishkachet le b'shita ache va'aliba de Rabbi Shimon, and it would have to be according to the view of Rabbi Shimon. And this would be how it occurred. The oldest brother, okay, we could go with names, but I'm not going to go with names right now. But you could go Reuven, Shimon, Levi, etc., right? So brother 1 dies. Okay, then, all right, there is brother 2, but all of a sudden, there's brother 3 born. Okay, V'yabam, brother 2 then did Yibum to the widow of brother 1. Okay. Furthermore, then brother 2 dies.
So brother 3 was born after brother 1 died,
but right.
while brother 2 was alive.
While brother 2 was alive.
And brother 2 then
so
right.
One. So brother 3, in theory, could be Miyabim, the widow of brother 2, because they're coexistent.
Right.
But he couldn't really do Miyabim, the widow of brother 1. Right, okay? Then what happens? Mate, brother 2 dies. No lad, brother number 4 or number 5, whatever.
Number 4 is born.
Okay, another brother, number 4 is right. V'yabem. Okay, and brother 3 then went ahead and did Yibum to widow of brother number
Number
2.
Right.
Okay, in that situation.
Right.
Okay, so that's what he's saying. And what has he done? He goes ahead and gives names to
Right.
what I called 1, 2, 3, 4, etc.
Right.
Reuven, Shimon, right? Now he's spelling it out. Reuven and Shimon are the brother. Reuven is
Shimon.
1. Brother Shimon is 2. Nisuin shtei achayot. They marry 2 sisters. What happens? Next, the 2 other brothers, Levi and Yehuda. Levi is brother number 3. Yehuda is brother number 4. Okay. Nisuin shtei nachriot. They marry 2 unrelated women. Okay. Mate Ruvain. We said the first brother dies. Right? Nolad Yisachar. Brother number 5 is born. Okay. V'yebeim Levi, right? And what happens? Brother number 3 did Yibum to widow number 1 of number 1 of Reuben. Okay. Mate Shimon, brother number 2 died, right? Then Nolad Zvulun, brother number 6 was born. Okay. V'yebeim Yehuda. And brother number 4 did Yibum to the widow of wife
Shimon.
to brother number 2's widow.
Right.
Okay. What happens next?
Means that Zvulun's mother was 70 years old when he was born.
Okay. May to Levi v'Yehuda. Okay. So now what happens? The 3rd brother and the 4th brother, they die. So all of their wives fall to the remaining brothers.
Yisachar v'Zvulun.
All right? Brothers number 5 and brother number 6. Okay? Right? So what happens? They all fall to brother number 5 and brother number 6. But what happens?
So there's the case. This is the case where the Mishnah says, "Or surah b'zeh."
Right? So what happens in that situation? Ha'asura lazeh. Okay, in one case, we could have the widow from brother number 1. She's forbidden to, right, to one of brother number 5 because he wasn't born yet. Okay, or certainly number 6, he wasn't born yet. Okay. Muteret lazeh, but she's permitted to the other one. V'ha'asura lazeh muteret lazeh. Okay, and again, widow from brother 2 would be okay for number 6, but maybe not number 5, vice versa. All right, and furthermore, v'achota shehi yavamta. And in that case, since brothers 1 and 2, Reuven and Shimon, had married sisters, clearly it's a sister as also Yavama. Okay, so that's that whole geschichte. Okay, that's with 6 brothers. We're not done yet. Okay, Lamali, says the Gemara, Yibeim Yehuda. So why did in our scenario we said that 4th brother Yehuda, right? Okay, was the one who did Yibum to the widow of the 2nd brother. Why did we say that? Below Yibum Yehuda Nami, even without Yehuda having done Yibum, Mishkachat La, we can find the situation, Mishum Tzara, because of a co-wife, right? Ha, Tenach Tzara. Fine, put the tzara aside, the co-wife aside, right? Tzara de tzara, my ikala memar. What about a co-wife of a co-wife? Okay, you had that,
Right.
all right? Okay, says, right? Because if he did Yibum, All right, and if he were married already, okay, and then he had to do Yibum again, all right, he could have a co-wife of a co-wife, right?
As many humans as he
Okay, Kigon dahada v'yibnehu nami gad va'asher, says the Gemara. And in this case, we could have a situation where even two more brothers are born, okay, and that's the scenario. So we could have a situation of 8 brothers. And I think maybe time-wise, we should stop here for today, okay? And we'll pick up the new Mishnah.
Reuben can work many times, but Elisa can only work one time.
Right. Okay, and we'll pick up there tomorrow. I didn't realize it was gonna take us that long, but it's, okay. I think, it's a little, Kafkat is a little short. So it
It's
should-
shorter, but being shorter doesn't mean it
It's easy.
doesn't mean.
Yesterday, I was using Cohen and Vishanantam in the morning. It took me about an hour and a half to do it. Then I went back last night for another hour and looked over Art Street.
Have a good day. I